Hey, what's up everyone? This is Gerardo, Morillo, the proud founder of ProsperityLifeX.com. On this episode of ProsperityLifeX.com, I'm going to be teaching you how to steal a skill. This is one of my most kind of prized thing that I've learned in life, which is how to steal a skill. And this is very important because when you learn how to steal a skill, you can copy any skill that you want. Although you still have to go through the trial and error process, you still have to go through, practice. This learning how to steal a skill will help you copy and paste and download skills at a much rapid pace. So first things first, anything that's already been done can be copy and paste, because now you have a kind of workable template, a workable blueprint of how it is done. So by the very simple fact that it's already there, you can just copy and paste it. All you have to do is follow the same step-by-step process, follow the procedures, and you'll be able to copy and paste that same formula. Now, understanding this on the intellectual level is one thing. It's just that you also have to kind of be mindful when you're doing this. It's really about being mindful as you do this. When you're learning how to copy a skill for the very first time, you just need to be in the present of awareness. Just be mindful. So when you're observing someone, just let them do their thing. Let them do their thing. Follow the body language, follow the body motion, the body movement. Words, you can also duplicate the words. Words are very easy to kind of copy and paste. All you have to do is just say the words. You say the words and you'll be able to copy and paste the words. No one has a, you say it like, what's that thing called? A license on words, where it's like, oh, I can only say these words. No, that's false. Which means that anything that someone is saying, you can say as well. You can say the same thing. You can copy the same formula. You can copy it, copy. Basically, if it exists and it's a good template, then you can copy the template. You can copy the formula. Because people do what they, smart people do what they do for smart reasons, and that's because they're very intellectual and very well studied. So when you copy them, it's like you're cheating in a sense. It's not really cheating. It's just that you're learning it in a more kind of quick way. It does help if you understand why they do what they do. Although, again, you can just copy what they do and try to get it's really the structure that's most important. The structure is the most important. And then you kind of like just insert the variables and just plug in the values, so to speak. When you see the structure, you can just insert the variables in your own way. You can spin it, you can change it, etc, etc. So anything that's done can be duplicated. Possibly not in the same way. Like, for example, this is where people do get to be unique in some sense, because you can never really fully copy someone. Even if you're successfully able to copy their lingo, their linguistic, their word patterns, and their ways of speaking, you cannot fully copy someone 100%. You can copy the body language, you can copy the words, but like certain like minor minutia details you won't be able to copy. You can't copy someone's like voice. You can't copy someone's voice tone. And if, like, for example, like if you're a short guy, you cannot like, you're not gonna become 6 foot overnight. Or certain like biological things like that you cannot copy. Although you can actually train yourself to kind of copy and speak in someone's voice tone and kind of in voice style, like you kind of like impersonate them. So for example, you can change the way you speak. You can change the way that you sound by changing the way you talk. So that was just a little example of how to like change your voice tone and how to change the way you speak. So basically, you can copy any skill. Anything that someone else is doing, you can copy it. If they're saying it, you can copy it. Another thing you can do to steal a skill is simply visualize yourself doing whatever it is that the other person is doing. For example, let's take basketball. Someone is shooting a ball. You want to, and let's say that they're scoring it, and they're very accurate. You want to copy the same thing that they're doing, so that you get the same accuracy. So that means a couple of things like the power, the form, the angles, because it's the angle times the form equals the score, which means that the ball goes in at a certain kind of angle and at a certain power. So you're kind of trying to find that sweet spot. So if you see someone who's scoring, you can visualize in your mind what it is that they're doing and copy the method, copy the same formula. You want to insert that same formula, the movements, the power, and you want to put it in your mind, and then your mind will encode this and process it and store it as memories, which means that you will have access to the same skill without having to really do too much. So this will speed up and accelerate your ability to acquire X skill. Now, this is not a replacement for being lazy, or this is not a way to be lazy. This is just smart work. This is not being lazy. This means that you can acquire anybody's skill just by simply doing what it is that they're doing. Now, technique is pretty easy to copy. Mindset is a little more difficult to copy because you have to copy their internal states, and you have to copy their behaviors. You have to copy their word language, the lingos, and their emotionals and their moods, and the reason why they do certain things. That's a lot harder to reverse engineer. In fact, that one's a little more impossible to reverse engineer. You can reverse engineer it, it would take a lot of work. It really would. But you can always steal someone's technical form. It's like when someone talks, you can copy the way they talk, you can impersonate them, you can use the same words almost in a very identical style, almost in the same way. Right, so just take someone that you like, someone that you highly respect, someone that you highly admire, and just speak like you were them for like 60 seconds. Just speak like you were them. And then another thing you can do to amplify that is to feel as if you were them. Feel as if you were talking like them. What does that feel like to talk like them? What does that feel like? What do they feel when they talk? When they talk, how do they feel? Why do they say the things that they say? What are their word choices? What are their favorite word choices? Now, you don't need to copy every little minutiae details because that's a little redundant and overkill. The one thing that you can do is simply just to copy their favorite patterns. It is their favorite patterns, their dominant patterns that are most important. The minor patterns are really... they're minor, they're not very important. You want to copy the dominant patterns because that will give you the quick copy and paste of what it is to do, because these are their dominant strategies. And then once you do so, then you can acquire their skills. So this goes for business, this goes for sports, this goes for anything. Anything that one person can do, another person can reverse engineer it with a high level of awareness and someone who is willing to soak up the information. So you can also do this in sales. And you would, in NLP they call this modeling. You would model someone who's already good at that skill, and you just simply, you do the same thing. Now again, like I said before, the internal states are a little more complicated to acquire, to download, so you may have to kind of figure out how to kind of do that in your own way. Whereas it's like someone's happy, it's hard to kind of reverse engineer happy. But what you can do is take the structure of how that person got happy. Meaning, let's say this person got happy because they're always eating at their favorite restaurant, and they always say please and thank you, and they always talking to new people, collecting new experiences, and they're always out there gathering new stories from people, and they see the world as interesting, they see the world as something that they want to explore. You can reverse engineer that, but you cannot reverse engineer like you can, but it would be difficult to reverse engineer like every little thought and emotional pattern of why they got happy, that's a lot more difficult to reverse engineer. But everything else you can reverse engineer. Alright, so another thing that you can do to reverse engineer someone's skill is to do it the same way, do the same motion, talk like as if you were them, feel as if you were them, and you can visualize what they do as if you were doing it. It's because what they did is they already created a blueprint, they already created a template. Anytime someone is successful, give them a, just thank them, because they made your life way more easier. Because when someone is thinking to get work done, it takes a process to get from A to Z in terms of production. But when someone finishes the production, they already created a new template, which is the finished formula. So all you gotta do is just copy that formula, basically. Now, you can do this like I said, like in physical, like in the sports. Sports, you just copy the same style, same formula. Now, these things are, they get challenging, but the point is that you can take the structure of any said skill and apply it to yourself, whether it be sales, whether it be sports, or anything else. You just gotta find what works. What's the formula that works, and copy and paste that formula and just apply it to yourself. It's like, hey, why do you do this? Why do you do this? Why you do this and why you do this? And generally speaking, most people during their own trial and error process, they'll give you pretty good answers of why they do certain things. And that's because most people already collected a certain amount of trial and error. So when people just say something, I tend to just listen, because I know that most people are coming from some level of trial and error process where it's like they've been there, done that enough, where they're doing certain things because it makes sense for them. They have arrived to a conclusion because it just makes sense based on like the action and feedback they acquire. So now they're kind of like, they created a new template, which is, this is the way it works. In NLP we call this a model of the world. Anyways, I guess I'm just gonna wrap this up. Any skill that you want, you can acquire. You can steal a skill. You can visualize yourself doing someone else's skill. Visualize yourself as you were them doing it. Feel into those states, and kind of practice impersonating that person in private. This way that you can get their skills. It's like in sports, or like let's say baseball. You can try to swing the bat like Derek Jeter. Why does he swing the bat that way? And then you reverse engineer that. Now again, you would also have to kind of understand why he kind of swings at certain things and why he doesn't swing at certain things. But the major idea is that you can reverse engineer anything, like copying the formula. And there's always an internal process behind the formula, but that's making it a little bit more complicated, so I won't get into that in this video. Anyways, I hope you liked this video. This was how to steal a skill. If you like tips and tricks like this, please feel free to visit me at prosperitylifehacks.com, home of the #1 website on the planet. And I can say this with confidence because we have the solution to every single problem. Every single problem that you could have is in prosperitylifehacks.com. And I don't say this out of arrogance. Any problem, I've had these same problems. Any, depression, anxiety, stress, fears, and all these. I've had all of them, right? That's why I can say with pride that I have a solution to most problems. I can say that with pride. I don't say that out of arrogance because I've had all the problems. I've had all these problems, and that's why I say this with pride. Anyways, if you liked the video, please like the video. If you have any further questions, drop me a comment down below and I will be happy to answer you. Alright, visit me at prosperitylifehacks.com. Bye bye now.